The shuttle broke through the thick layer of clouds, its hull creaking under pressure. James Carter gripped the controls, eyes locked on the barren surface below. Earth, once green and full of life, now a dead world. The sky was orange-gray, filled with dust that never settled. Ruins stretched across the landscape, broken cities, silent towers, and shadows of a lost age. James landed the shuttle in what used to be Colorado, now called Sector 9. Radiation sensors blinked yellow, still dangerous, but survivable with his gear. He stepped out in a reinforced suit, the cracked earth crunching beneath his boots. Wind howled across the empty plains, carrying whispers of the past. He walked for hours, guided by coordinates passed down from his father. Commander Carter had vanished 20 years ago, during a secret mission. Everyone said he was dead, but James never believed it. The coordinates led him to a hidden bunker, buried under rock and sand. A broken sign above the hatch read, U.S. Defense Site 47. James cleared debris and forced the door open. Rusted metal groaned, and darkness swallowed him as he stepped inside. His flashlight cut through the gloom. The walls were lined with old tech, wires hanging like vines. Dust coated everything. Power was long dead, until his hand brushed against a panel. A low hum began. Lights flickered on, weak but alive. He moved deeper, heart pounding. Then he saw it. A glowing core sat inside a massive chamber. It pulsed softly, as if breathing. Ancient writing circled its base, and a faint emblem showed a bird with outstretched wings, an old Earth military symbol. The core was warm to the touch, alive. Suddenly his wrist command crackled. Static, then a cold voice. Unauthorized activity detected in Sector 9. Identify. James froze. The signal was encrypted. Orbital authority. They knew he was here. He shut off the comm and backed away. But it was too late. They were coming. Still, he couldn't leave. Not yet. He looked at the core, then at a data terminal nearby. Dusty, but functional. He powered it up. A logo blinked onto the screen. Project Guardian. Then came a recording. His father's voice. If you're seeing this, it means the ships still exist. They buried them because they were afraid. Don't let them stay buried. James's jaw clenched. His father had been right. He uploaded the data to a secure drive, grabbed what he could, and turned back toward the entrance. The wind outside was louder now. Ships were coming, but James had what he needed, the truth, and he wasn't turning back. James crouched inside the bunker's entrance, watching the sky through a cracked viewport. 3 black ships hovered above the horizon, sleek, silent, and marked with the authorities' emblem, a silver ring with a single eye. They were scouts. Fast and deadly. If they saw him, he wouldn't stand a chance. He ducked back into the shadows, heart pounding. He needed a plan. He slid the drive into his belt pouch, clutching it like treasure. It held more than just old files. It held the truth. His father had spoken about Project Guardian, something hidden, powerful, and dangerous to the people in charge. James moved through the dim corridors, careful not to make a sound. His boots scraped over rusted metal. The ship core still glowed faintly in the chamber behind him. Part of him wanted to stay, to study it, but staying meant death. He reached a service tunnel behind the generator room, and opened a hatch. A narrow crawl space stretched ahead, dark and tight. It led to an old surface exit, one he'd marked on his map. He crawled for what felt like forever, pushing past cobwebs and loose wires. The air grew thin. His breath echoed in the tunnel. At the far end, he found a sealed door. It took effort, but he pried it open with a crowbar. Fresh air, cold and dry, hit his face. He was on the edge of a ridge, with a view of the ruined plains below. His shuttle was a mile away, half hidden beneath debris. He activated his helmet scanner. The authority scouts were circling the bunker. They hadn't spotted his ship yet. He moved fast. The wind was strong, blowing sand into his visor. He kept low, using broken terrain for cover. Every step felt like a race against time. The data in his pouch burned with importance. Then his comm crackled again. A soft beep, his ship's alert system. Unauthorized access attempt. His blood went cold. They'd found the shuttle. He ran. Explosions echoed behind him. The sky lit up. One of the scouts had fired a warning shot. They wanted him alive for now, probably to question him. Or worse, erase what he knew. James reached the shuttle. Just as the second scout began to descend, he leapt into the cockpit and slammed the hatch shut. The engines roared. Dust flew everywhere. One of the ships fired again, this time to disable. The blast struck the ridge nearby, shaking the ground. James didn't wait. He launched. The shuttle rocketed upward, twisting through the thick clouds. Alarm screamed in his ears. Heat shields strained. 2 scouts followed, but his ship was lighter. Older, yes, but fast. He punched in a manual jump sequence. Destination, Atlas Prime. Home. The ship leapt into orbit, leaving the broken world behind. As the stars came into view, James sat back in his seat, breathing hard. He opened the data log again. His father's voice returned. They feared the ships because they couldn't control them. But we built them to protect, not rule. If someone finds them, they can change everything. James stared out at the stars. Something was buried, something huge, and the authority didn't want anyone to know. James Carter stepped off the shuttle and into the shadows of Atlas Prime. The orbital station floated above Earth like a steel crown. Lights blinked across its surface. Beneath its polished glass and metal walls, it was a place of secrets and lies. James kept his head down as he moved through the service corridors. He didn't go through the main docking bay. Too many cameras, too many questions. His contact Aaron was waiting near the maintenance sector. Aaron was a systems engineer, young, nervous, and smarter than most. He wore a plain jumpsuit, his hair tied back. His eyes lit up when he saw James. "You made it," Aaron said. "Everyone thought you were dead." James pulled out the data drive. "I found something, and they know I found it." Aaron's smile faded. "Come with me. You need to see this." They slipped into a side lab deep within the station. It was quiet, the lights low. Aaron plugged the drive into a secure terminal, cutting off the network link. The screen lit up. Files opened. Maps, logs, blueprints, and one video. James stepped closer. His father appeared again, older than in the last recording. Tired eyes, a cracked voice. "We buried over 100 warships below the surface. Pre-war models. AI cores, weapons that can't be matched even now. They called it Project Guardian. I was ordered to shut it down. I refused." The video glitched, then continued. "I went back, tried to stop them from sealing the bunkers. They erased everything, but not all of it. If someone finds this, you can wake them." James stared at the screen. His hands shook. "These ships," he said slowly. "They're not just relics. They're power." Aaron nodded. "And the authorities terrified someone might use them. They copied the files onto a secure data pad." And Aaron handed it to James. "There's more. One of the bunkers isn't just storing parts. It's storing a ship. Intact. Operational. Where? Eurasian sector. A buried launch site beneath the old mountain ranges." James didn't hesitate. "Prep a small ship." "I'll go." Aaron hesitated. "You're not going to get support from the council. They'll label you a traitor." James looked him in the eye. "Then let them. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to uncover the truth." The next day, James took a stealth pod and made the jump to Earth again, this time to the Eurasian sector. He landed near a jagged range of black stone. Snow drifted over the old site. A steel door was buried in ice. He melted through it using a torch, then entered a tunnel lit by old emergency lights. The deeper he went, the louder it got. A hum, soft at first, then rising. Then he saw it. The ship sat in the chamber like a beast asleep. Smooth, dark metal, twin engines, a command tower built into its core, not rusted, not broken. Waiting. James approached slowly. The ship's hull lit up as he neared. A blue pulse moved along its surface. Then a voice echoed through the chamber. "Commander Carter, Identity confirmed. Welcome aboard. James stopped. I'm not. Then he realized. The ship recognized his father's DNA in him. The bay doors opened. He stepped inside. The control room was alive. Screens lit up. Systems booted. Weapons came online. A chair rose from the floor. He sat down. The ship responded. Guardian-class vessel online. Orders? James smiled. Take off. The ground shook. Ice cracked and shattered. Engines roared. The mountain trembled as the ship burst through the surface, flames trailing behind it. He was airborne, in control of something ancient, something powerful. The sky above him opened, and the Authority would feel it. The Guardian-class warship broke through Earth's upper atmosphere like a silent comet. Fire licked its hull, but the advanced shields held steady. Inside the cockpit, James Carter gripped the controls. The ship moved with precision, as if reading his thoughts. Orbit lock acquired. The ship's AI announced in a calm, synthetic voice. James stared ahead. Atlas Prime loomed in the distance, a massive ring of lights, rotating slowly against the stars. He opened a private comm channel. Aaron, do you read me? Static for a moment. Then Aaron's voice. James, what are you flying? Guardian ship. Fully functional. There was silence on the line. Then a whisper. You've done it. James activated the ship's stealth field. Prep for contact. This changes everything. On Atlas Prime, the news spread fast. A ship unknown class had entered orbit. It wasn't registered. It wasn't Authority. And it wasn't using any known design. Director Thornvale watched the screen in his command chamber. Jaw tight. His face was calm, but his eyes burned cold. Around him, officers stood stiffly, watching the Guardian ship move silently across orbit. This cannot be real, one of them muttered. It's real, Thorne said, voice like ice. And it's him. Carter's boy. He turned to his chief enforcer. Bring him in. Alive if possible. Quietly if not. James docked the Guardian ship at an old civilian platform connected to the station's underside. It was abandoned. Perfect for staying hidden. Aaron met him inside, eyes wide with disbelief. You flew that here. She flew me. James corrected with a small smile. The ship responds like it's alive. They walked quickly through back corridors toward Aaron's lab. James carried a portable holodisplay. Inside it, the full data archive from Project Guardian. We're leaking it, James said. Aaron hesitated. The Authority will hunt you. There are still people loyal to them. I don't care. The people deserve to know what's been hidden from them. In the lab, James activated the holodisplay. Images filled the air. Massive hangars, blueprints of Guardian ships, maps of buried bunkers. He added one last file. His father's last message. We built these ships to protect humanity. But the ones in power saw a threat. So they erased us. Buried us. If you found this, you're the next step. Don't let them control history. Aaron looked at James. Once we do this, there's no turning back. There shouldn't be, James said. The truth doesn't belong in a vault. He pressed transmit. The files were sent to thousands of terminals across the station and beyond, into the Martian colonies and other orbitals. Screens flickered. People stopped what they were doing. They watched. And they saw the truth. Minutes later, Thorne stood in silence as his officers confirmed the leak. We couldn't stop it in time, one said. It's everywhere now. Thorne's jaw twitched. He turned slowly, fury just beneath the surface. Then we silence him the old way. He tapped his command console. All forces, initiate Operation Blackout. Locate and neutralize James Carter. Destroy the Guardian ship. Back at the hidden dock, James sat aboard the Guardian vessel. He watched the data spread across space. For a moment he felt peace. Then his ship's sensors lit up. Incoming fleet, the AI warned. 6 Authority cruisers. Intercept course. James narrowed his eyes. They're not ready for what's coming. He powered the engines. The Guardian ship slipped away from the dock, Just as the first Authority cruiser arrived, James Carter sat in the pilot's seat, calm but alert. Outside the viewport, space lit up with the glow of incoming enemy ships. Cruisers approaching weapons range, the AI said. Shall I engage? Not yet, James replied. Let's see if they're here to talk. A message flashed on screen. Authority Channel 9. Encrypted. High clearance. He accepted. Thornvale's face appeared. Cold. Controlled. James Carter, Thorn said. You've made your point. Return the ship. Surrender peacefully. You'll be given a fair hearing. James leaned forward. You hid a fleet built to protect humanity. You lied. You erased my father. Now everyone knows. Thorn's lips thinned. You've spread chaos. No, James said. I've given people the truth. The message ended. A second later, the enemy ships armed weapons. James gripped the controls. So much for talking. The Guardian ship moved fast, faster than any vessel in orbit. It dove and twisted, avoiding every blast. The old systems were sharp, smart, ahead of their time. James fired once, just a warning shot. A bright beam struck an Authority cruiser's engine, shutting it down without causing damage. The ship spun, powerless. Inside the Guardian's cockpit, James took a deep breath. We can disable them without killing. We just need to send a message. The AI replied. Understood. Targeting non-lethal systems. The battle continued, but James wasn't alone anymore. Across Atlas Prime and the Martian outposts, people had seen the leaked data. Pilots, engineers, soldiers who remembered stories of old Earth. Stories that the Authority said were myths. Now they knew the truth. One by one they reached out to James. First was Lena, an ex-squad leader turned security officer. I read the logs, she said over the comm. If you're leading something, I'm in. Then came others, salvagers, traitors, even a few Authority defectors. James routed them to secret channels. Aaron helped coordinate from the lab, working with growing resistance cells. They're everywhere, Aaron said. Small groups but motivated. Some had already found old ship locations. A salvager named Ren uncovered a Guardian-class scout vessel buried in the African zone. Another crew unearthed a ship core near the Arctic Circle. James sent them the activation protocols. One by one the ships awakened. In just 2 days, 5 Guardian vessels were flying again, each one stronger than anything the Authority had. But the risk grew. Thorn declared James and his followers enemies of the state. He issued public orders for arrest and seizure. Resistance groups were attacked. Ships were chased. People began to vanish again. James watched it all from orbit, heart heavy. We need more than ships, he told Aaron. We need a symbol, a stand. Aaron nodded. Then give them one. James flew the Guardian ship into open space, directly above Atlas Prime. He activated the station-wide broadcast system. Every screen lit up with his face. My name is James Carter, he began. I was born in orbit, like many of you. But I've walked on Earth. I've touched what they buried. I've seen the truth. He paused. They lied to us. They erased our history. They built fear where there should have been pride. He leaned closer. But it's not too late. The ships are rising, not to destroy, but to protect, to unite us. Join us. Reclaim what was stolen. We are not enemies of peace. We are the guardians of it. The signal ended. Seconds later, the Authority launched a full blockade around Atlas Prime. The final fight was coming, and now the galaxy was watching. James Carter stood on the bridge of the Guardian ship, watching the stars through the wide viewport. Around him 5 other Guardian-class ships held formation. Their sleek hulls shimmered in the darkness. Below them spun Atlas Prime, now locked down by a ring of Authority warships. They've sealed the station, Aaron's voice said through the comm. No one gets in or out. James nodded slowly. Then we break the seal. The resistance had grown fast. Across orbit, Earth, and the Martian colonies, people were rising. More hidden ships had been found, and skilled pilots had stepped up. But the Authority still held power, and their fleet outnumbered the Guardians 10 to 1. James stood, eyes sharp, We hit their flagship. Take out Thorn's command. If we do that, the rest will fall apart. Arrin agreed. Their flagship is Sentinel-1. It's orbiting just above the central ring. James turned to the AI. Plot a course. Course locked. The AI replied. Engage. He paused, then gave the order. Engage. The 6 Guardian ships lit their engines and soared forward, cutting through the darkness like blades of light. The Authority fleet responded instantly. Fighters swarmed. Laser cannons charged. A massive battle filled the void. James weaved through the chaos, his hands steady on the controls. Target their weapons. Disable, don't destroy, he ordered. His ship responded with precision. One blast took out a cruiser's weapon pod. Another disabled a shield array. The Guardian fleet moved like a single mind, fast, efficient, unstoppable. But then Sentinel-1 entered the fight. The massive warship turned toward the Guardians, its cannons twice the size of theirs. It opened fire with full force. A Guardian ship took a direct hit. Shields failed. It spun out, damaged but not destroyed. Arrin, we need to get aboard Sentinel-1, James said. I'm ending this face to face. You'll never get close, Arrin replied. I have to try. James angled his ship and pushed forward at full speed. Enemy fire blazed past him, but the Guardian's armor held. The ship rammed into the side of Sentinel-1, locking in place. He stood, grabbed his sidearm, and ran to the docking hatch. The door opened with a hiss. He stepped into Sentinel-1, weapon ready. Inside, red lights flashed. Alarms blared. Armed guards waited, but James moved fast. He stunned 2 with quick shots, ducked behind cover, and made his way to the command deck. The final door opened, and there stood Thorn Vale. The director looked older than James remembered. Cold eyes, a calm face, even now. It didn't have to end this way, Thorn said. It ends how it should, James replied. With the truth. Thorn raised a pistol, but James was faster. He shot it from Thorn's hand and closed the distance. You're done, James said. The people have chosen. Thorn didn't argue. He only sneered. They'll lose control. You think you're saving them, but you're unleashing chaos. No, James said. I'm giving them freedom. He turned to the console and opened a channel. All Authority units, James broadcast. This is James Carter. Thorn Vale is no longer in command. Stand down. The silence was heavy. Then one voice answered. This is Captain Wren of the Vigil. Standing down. Another followed. This is Crux 1. Orders received. Standing down. One by one, the enemy ships powered down their weapons. The battle was over. James stepped back onto his Guardian ship, watching as Sentinel-1 was escorted away. Resistance fighters cheered through the comms. Atlas Prime's lights returned. Barriers dropped. People came out of hiding. A new era had begun. The stars above Earth looked different now. They no longer hung in silence. They shimmered with purpose. James Carter stood on the observation deck of the Guardian ship, watching Atlas Prime drift peacefully in the distance. The once locked-down station was now free. Civilian ships came and went. Supply pods moved between orbit and Earth. The blockade was gone. The fear was gone. Behind him, the hum of the Guardian ship's engines was steady and calm. She had done her part. They all had. James, Arrin said through the comm. The council is ready for you. He nodded and stepped into the lift. The new council had replaced the Authority in less than a week. It was made of citizens from every colony. Earth, Mars, orbitals, people who wanted peace, not control. The meeting chamber was simple. No gold, no marble, just a round table and real voices. James entered, and the room fell quiet. A woman from Mars stood. You gave us truth when we had none. You gave us the power to choose. What happens next? James looked around the table. The Guardian ships will not be used for war. They'll be open to all, shared by every colony. Their cores, their knowledge, everything. We rebuild together. Another member spoke. And you? James paused. I'm returning to Earth. The room murmured. Earth was still rough, still dangerous. But James smiled. That's where it all began. My father believed in something before they silenced him. I want to finish what he started. No one argued. The vote was unanimous. The Guardian ships would belong to the people. A few days later, James stood on Earth's surface. The winds were calmer now. The sky, a little clearer. In the distance, ruins rose like silent monuments to a forgotten age. He looked down at the soil, black, cracked, and still healing. Aaron stood beside him. It's not much. It's a beginning, James said. He planted a small flag, not a symbol of conquest, but of memory. A reminder that power once hidden had returned to the people. Ships flew overhead. Guardian vessels, now marked with symbols of unity. They weren't here to control. They were here to protect, to guide. James breathed deep. The truth had changed everything. The silence was broken, and the future had begun.